Hello, potential friends and adventurers. I'm Em, and today we are going to talk about how to help develop your players' role-playing. Welcome to the DM table. So, when having new players that you want to help along get into role-playing and they're sort of shy and closed off a bit and they're not talking much, they have a nice enough character concept, but they are not yet engaging. They are not engaging NPCs, they are not talking to people much, they're not talking to other party members, so you want to help them along. So first things first, you want to sort of engage them. You want to have NPCs address them directly. Because once a person is, well, nicely enough invited to talk to somebody, they might just do it. If there are plenty of NPCs that non-aggressively address them and ask them things, talk to them and address them individually, the player that you're trying to help, then that player might get into the swing of things and talk to them and answer their questions, and their interactions will sort of rub off on the player. Of course, you want to do this systematically. You want to figure out a role for this person starting from their character concept, because they have a role in mind for themselves and it may or may not be obvious, but you can sort of start from there and read into their character concept, and then you sort of know how the person wants to be seen by others, how they feel like they would like to be engaged, and then you engage them in that way and paint them a picture of them being the person that they're projecting of being. And once this happens, well, you now have all of the incentive that they would want to start responding to essentially role-playing hooks. They're like quest hooks, but they're opportunities for a person to shine in what they like, what they want to be able to do best one day. And well, these are the opportunities for the player. And now you sort of adjust through time, seeing what they respond to more, what they respond to less. Not too quickly, because you want to, the player is shy, you want to see several opportunities, but once you're sure that something should be adjusted, you adjust it. And you test things. You prod a bit here, prod a bit there, but keep careful and help the player along that way, from behind the scenes. But also, you should talk to the player after session, like with all of your players, really. Everybody recommends talking to your players after sessions about how they did, what they felt that they did, how they felt that they did it, and how did they feel that the session went, and how did they feel about the world, about the characters, about everything, so that you can hear their thoughts. And mind you, you want to also do this during, because sometimes you want to encourage a player to tell you their thoughts, and not just to invite them to tell you, though you should do that too. Sometimes you want to outright ask, because it's a dramatic or specific moment and you want more information, and so you ask your player, what is it that you're thinking of right now? What are your feelings? What are you contemplating? What can be seen on your face? How do you think of this person? What do you feel for this act that's happening in front of you? What do you plan to do? What would you wish to do? What are your desires? Because when you ask your player what are their desires and plans, you will know how to actually DM, because you know what the player is trying to do, so you know how to sort of simulate them doing it and succeeding, or doing it and failing, or doing it and there's more plot, but you now know what sort of story you're on, as opposed to spending extreme amount of time not knowing what you're supposed to introduce through the player's actions, because you want to just run the story further. You want to introduce further what the player is seeking, what they're walking towards, so to speak, and you know how to do this better by asking occasionally what the player is thinking, what are they expecting, what are they planning, what are they doing. And once you know what are they doing, you know how to describe it. Of course, this is better done with small parties. And I usually recommend running to small parties. And if you have more friends, I always recommend having somebody else be a DM for another group and you being a player, and there being more groups that almost each of you can participate in and such. But if you really must lead to a bigger group, you can have some individual sessions, but not necessarily one-on-one, because you can have 2 players in a DM type of separate session for new players or something like that. Or you can have sort of multiple parallel groups that merge together after a while, and you'll be able to do some of this, and by the time you all merge, you'll be probably getting them to roleplay pretty good if they're, well, getting naturally into the swing of things. But if not, you can keep helping them like this, because now there's at least somewhat less work than there was before, and you have achieved something by having those parallel groups. And also keep demonstrating, keep having people, NPCs, people close to the group, potentially occasional adventurer that joins in to the group. And another benefit of small groups is that you can have some additional characters join your party, and one of them or 2 of them, or you can have multiples of them that you'll have opportunities to run yourself. And why this is good is because it's as good as in any game that has fantastic characters that your players meet, because then they can talk to them, learn from them, interchange with them, and you get to demonstrate things. You keep demonstrating things through them. As long as you're pretty equal and not heavy-handed, and you know how to do this in a manner where these characters just shine by their character and not by them being a mechanical device, and they're not neither OP or underpowered or whatever have you, they will be a welcome addition to the group. If your group, well, likes other people, I suppose, and you have a small group. But otherwise, you can adjust this per need, and even if you don't have these, you can demonstrate. You can occasionally demonstrate through others, surrounding characters that they meet, and they're not part of the party, but yeah, you keep demonstrating and people will pick it up from you. They'll watch you do it, and you should be brave and do it from the first person as much as you can, because whilst you could do it otherwise, there's no time like today, right? So demonstrate, demonstrate, demonstrate. Lead by example, I always say. So that's how you would mostly help them. There's other tricks, but mostly now it's adjusting per individual after trying all these out. So, adventurer, if you thought this was unique, maybe you can spare a click, and I could see you here every week. I wish you luck. Bye.